I'm standing outside Nathan Pierce's apartment door at 11 o'clock on a Thursday night, holding a handwritten contract and what's left of my dignity. My hand hovers over the wood. 3 knocks. That's all it would take. 3 knocks and I either get what I need or I confirm what I've suspected for months, that I'm completely losing my mind. The hallway smells like someone's cooking garlic downstairs. The carpet is that awful beige that all Seattle apartment buildings seem to favor. And I'm wearing my work clothes, still charcoal slacks, and a silk blouse that cost too much because I came straight from the office. Because if I'd gone home first, I would have talked myself out of this. I knock. 3 times. Firm, confident. Like I'm not terrified. The door opens. Nathan Pierce looks exactly like he always does. Dark hair, slightly too long, gray eyes that seem to see through everything, wearing a faded flannel shirt and jeans. There's a camera strap around his neck. Of course there is. I don't think I've ever seen him without a camera. "Emma," he says. Not a question. Just my name in that low voice that always sounds a little tired. "Hi." I force a smile. "Can I come in?" He steps aside without a word. His apartment is exactly what I expected. Minimalist, clean, photographs covering one entire wall, black and white images that I try not to look at too closely because they're probably from Syria or Ukraine or wherever else he's been documenting human suffering for the past 3 years. A couch that looks comfortable but unlived in. A coffee table with a single mug on it. "Do you want tea?" he asks. "No, thank you." I'm clutching the contract so hard the paper is crumpling. "I have a proposition for you." His eyebrow raises, just slightly. "Okay? It's going to sound insane. Most things worth doing do." I take a breath, then another, then I just say it. "I need you to be my fake boyfriend for a week." Silence. Nathan doesn't move. Doesn't blink. Just stands there holding his mug of what smells like chamomile tea, looking at me like I'm a puzzle he's trying to solve. "Your fake boyfriend," he repeats. "Yes." "For a week." "Yes." "Why?" And here's where it gets humiliating. My sister is getting married in 3 days on Whidbey Island, and my entire family will be there along with approximately 150 guests, half of whom watched me fall apart 2 years ago when my fiancé left me a week before our wedding. The words come out in a rush. "And David, my ex, he'll be there because he's dating Claire, who's one of Sophie's bridesmaids, and I can't show up alone again. I can't be the girl everyone feels sorry for." Nathan sets his mug down carefully on the coffee table. "So you want me to pretend to be your boyfriend?" "Yes." "Why me?" "Because you're safe, I think. Because you don't know anyone in my social circle. Because you're quiet and self-contained, and you won't make this more complicated than it needs to be. Because I've been watching you for months, and you seem like someone who understands what it means to need an escape. Because you're my neighbor," I say instead. "Because we've talked enough that it won't seem completely random. And because," I hesitate, "because I don't think you'll make it weird." He almost smiles at that. Almost. Make it weird how you've done. Catch feelings. Get confused about what's real and what's not. Try to turn this into something it isn't. "You want a professional fake boyfriend." Exactly. Nathan crosses his arms, leaning against the kitchen counter. He's studying me now the way he probably studies his subjects before he photographs them, looking for the story underneath the surface. I force myself not to fidget. "What's in it for me?" he asks finally. "I was prepared for this. I can pay you $2,000 for the week. All expenses covered, obviously." "I don't want your money, Emma." "Then what do you want?" He's quiet for a long moment. "Then my parents are in town. They've been concerned about me ever since I got back from Ukraine." He pauses. "They keep trying to set me up with their friends' daughters. They think I need to move on and get back out there." I understand immediately. "You need them to think you're already dating someone." "Yes." "So this would be mutually beneficial." "Apparently." I pull out the contract I'd written earlier on Morrison and Associates letterhead. Because if I'm going to do something insane, I might as well do it properly. I wrote up terms, I say, handing it to him. Nathan takes it and I watch his eyes scan the page. I'd kept it simple. Agreement between Emma Chen and Nathan Pierce, duration 7 days, April 15, 22. 2024, with option to extend for public appearances as needed for believability. Terms 1. Both parties agree to act as romantic partners in public settings only. 2. No real romantic or sexual involvement. 3. Maintain appropriate physical boundaries, hand-holding casual touches, acceptable. Anything beyond is negotiable. 4. Both parties commit to making the relationship appear authentic to family and friends. 5. Exit strategy. Natural breakup to be staged approximately 2 months post-agreement, citing distance/timing/mutual decision. 6. Confidentiality. Neither party discloses the arrangement to others. Expectations. Attend all wedding-related events together. Stay in shared accommodations when necessary. Maintain consistent story about relationship timeline. Show appropriate affection in public. You really are an architect. Nathan says, a hint of amusement in his voice. I like structure. I can tell. He sets the paper down. What's our story? How did we meet? How long have we been together? I've thought about this too, of course I have. We've been neighbors for 6 months. We ran into each other in the building lobby enough times that you finally asked me to coffee. That was, let's say, 2 months ago. We've been taking it slow, but it's been getting serious. Simple, believable. He nods slowly. And your family doesn't know about me yet because I wanted to be sure before I introduced you to everyone at such a big event. But Sophie, my sister, she knew. She encouraged me to bring you. Nathan picks up the contract again, reading more carefully this time. No real romantic or sexual involvement, he reads aloud. You think that needs to be specified? My cheeks heat. I think it's important to be clear about boundaries. Fair enough, he looks at me. And you're sure you want to do this lie to your family? It's not lying, it's strategic omission. Emma, I meet his gaze. Yes, I'm sure. Are you? He's quiet for so long, I start to think he's going to say no. That I'm going to have to walk back down that hallway, get into my apartment, and figure out some other way to survive the next week with my dignity intact. Then Nathan picks up a pen from the counter. Where do I sign? We spend the next hour hammering out details. Nathan makes tea this time, and I accept it. We sit on opposite ends of his couch, maintaining boundaries already, I suppose, and go through everything that needs to be consistent. I'm a documentary photographer, that he says. Just moved back to Seattle after 3 years abroad. Currently freelancing while figuring out my next project. And we met in the lobby, I say. You were carrying camera equipment. I was carrying architectural drawings. We both got stuck waiting for the elevator. We started talking about design. You mentioned you were working on a residential project in Queen Anne. I mentioned I just photographed a building restoration in Prague. Connection over aesthetics and structure. Right. He pauses. What do I need to know about your family? I wrap my hands around the mug. The tea is good, chamomile with honey. Exactly what I need, but would never make for myself. My parents emigrated from Taiwan in the 90s, I begin. They worked incredibly hard to give Sophie and me opportunities. My dad's an electrical engineer. My mom was a nurse before she retired. They're traditional, and they have expectations. About marriage, about everything. But yes, especially marriage. I take a sip. Sophie is the golden child. She's a pediatric resident engaged to a wonderful guy named James, who's a software engineer. They're perfect together. Meanwhile, I'm the daughter who got left at the altar. You didn't get left at the altar. A week before. Same difference in my mother's mind. Nathan nods slowly. And David will be there. Yes. With Claire. Yes. Who was your best friend? I forced myself not to flinch. Apparently, I have terrible judgment in people. Or they had terrible judgment in themselves. It's such a simple statement, but something about it loosens the knot in my chest that's been there for 2 years. Tell me about your parents, I say, changing the subject. What do I need to know? Nathan sets his mug down. Michael and Susan Pierce. Dad's a retired high school English teacher. Mom worked in library sciences. They live in Spokane. They're worried about me. Because of the war photography. Because I spent 3 years in places where people were dying, yes. His jaw tightened slightly. And because before that I was married, and my wife died, and they think I've been running away ever since. The temperature in the room seems to drop. I'm sorry, I say quietly. I didn't know you were widowed. It was 4 years ago, car accident. He says it like he's reading from a script. Flat. Practiced. Lily was on her way to pick me up from the airport. I was coming home from Afghanistan, my first international assignment. She was T-boned by a drunk driver at an intersection 3 miles from our house. Nathan, it's fine, I'm fine. He stands abruptly. I should probably know more about you too, besides the architecture and the disastrous love life. I almost call him out on the deflection, but I don't because I understand it. Because I do the same thing every time someone asks me about David. I work for Morrison and Associates, I say, commercial and residential design. I specialize in sustainable building integration, making structures that work with their environment rather than against it. It's boring to most people. It's not boring. You're being polite. I'm being honest. I like the way you talk about buildings like they're alive. I blink. When have you heard me talk about buildings? Nathan pauses. For just a second, something flickers across his face. Then the elevator. You were on the phone once, talking to a client about load-bearing walls and natural light patterns. You remember that? I remember most things. There's something in his voice that I can't quite read. But before I can analyze it, he's moving on. What else, he asks? Hobbies, interests, things that would come up in casual conversation. I used to play piano. Haven't touched one in 2 years. I like hiking, but I rarely go. I read too much and sleep too little. I'm trying to be better about both. I pause. What about you? I climb, rock climbing, not mountains. There's a gym in Capitol Hill I go to most mornings. I read too, mostly nonfiction. I'm terrible at cooking, but excellent at finding good takeout. And he stops. What? I see a therapist for PTSD every Tuesday at 3. The honesty catches me off guard. Thank you for telling me. You should know, in case it comes up, in case He doesn't finish the sentence. In case you what? In case I'm not as good at pretending as you need me to be. I set my mug down and stand crossing the space between us. We're still a careful distance apart, but closer than we've been all night. Nathan, I say, I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm just asking you to show up. He looks at me for a long moment. Those gray eyes that see too much, that have witnessed too much. Okay, he says finally. I can do that. Okay. When do we leave for Whidbey Island? Sunday morning. The rehearsal dinner is Sunday evening. Wedding is Monday afternoon. We'll stay through Tuesday morning. I'll need to pack a suit. You own a suit. I photographed a royal wedding in Belgium once. The suit was mandatory. Despite everything, I smile. Good to know. We stand there for another moment, and I realize I should probably leave. This conversation is done. The agreement is made. But there's something about Nathan's apartment. The quiet, the lack of judgment, the way he doesn't try to fill silence with meaningless words that makes me want to stay. I should go, I say anyway. Yeah. I pick up the contract, now signed by both of us. I'll make you a copy. Sure. I'm at the door when he speaks again. Emma. I turn. Why did you really choose me? I could lie. Should lie, probably. Keep this professional and clean. But something about the way he's looking at me like he actually wants to know, not just making conversation, makes me answer honestly. Because you looked at me once in the hallway 3 months ago. I was coming home late from a terrible day, and you were heading out somewhere, and you looked at me like... I pause. Like you saw me. Not the girl who got left, not the daughter who disappointed her parents. Just me. And I thought if you could fake being my boyfriend, even half that well, maybe I could get through this week. Nathan doesn't say anything, but something shifts in his expression. Good night, Nathan. Good night, Emma. I close the door behind me and lean against it for just a second, wondering what I've just set in motion. Then I walk down the hallway to my own apartment, set the contract on my kitchen counter, and start making a packing list for Whidbey Island. Sunday morning arrives too quickly. I'm standing in the building lobby with two bags, one for clothes, one for gifts, and Sophie's various wedding items she's asked me to bring when Nathan appears from the stairwell. He's wearing jeans and a gray Henley backpack over one shoulder, camera bag over the other. Morning, he says. Good morning. I try not to notice how his hair is still slightly damp from a shower. Ready? As I'll ever be. We load everything into my car, a practical Honda that's paid off and reliable, which pretty much sums up my entire personality. Nathan doesn't comment on it, just puts his bags in the trunk alongside mine and slides into the passenger seat. The drive to the ferry terminal takes 40 minutes. We're mostly quiet, which I appreciate, but it's not an awkward silence. It's comfortable, like we've done this before. Tell me about Sophie, Nathan says as we're waiting in the ferry line. Beyond pediatric resident and perfect daughter. I smile despite myself. She's 3 years younger than me, bossy since birth. She wanted to be a doctor from the time she was 6 years old and never wavered. She's brilliant and driven and sometimes exhausting to be around because she's so relentlessly optimistic. You love her. So much it's annoying. And James Park, software engineer at Amazon. He's quiet, thoughtful balances, Sophie's intensity. They met in a hiking group 2 years ago. He proposed on Mount Rainier at sunrise. It was disgustingly romantic. You were there. I helped him plan it. I pause. Sophie doesn't know what David did to me. Not the whole story. She knows he left, but she doesn't know it was for Claire. She doesn't know I found them together at what was supposed to be my bridal shower. Nathan's hand clenches on the armrest. He was with her at your bridal shower. In the coat room, I went to grab my jacket because I was cold, and I stop. It doesn't matter now. It matters. Well, Sophie doesn't know, and I'd like to keep it that way. She'd cause a scene, and Claire is one of her bridesmaids, and I don't want to ruin Sophie's wedding with my old drama. That's not drama, Emma. That's betrayal. Same difference. It's really not. We're on the ferry now, car parked on the lower deck. I suggest we go upstairs for the view, and Nathan follows. The wind off the Puget Sound is cold but refreshing. I lean against the railing, watching Seattle shrink behind us. What about your parents? I ask. What do I need to know about meeting them? They're coming to the wedding. The rehearsal dinner. My mom invited them yesterday, something about getting to know your family and serious relationships. I couldn't say no without raising suspicion. Nathan is quiet for a moment. They'll like you. How do you know? Because you're exactly the kind of person they think I should be with. Stable, grounded. Someone who won't let me disappear into war zones for years at a time. Is that what they're worried about? That you'll leave again? That's part of it. He turns to look at me. The other part is that they're worried I'm still in love with a ghost. The words hang between us. Are you? I ask quietly. Nathan doesn't answer right away. He looks out at the water at the islands rising in the distance. I don't know, he says finally. How do you measure that she's dead? She's been dead for 4 years. But sometimes I still reach for my phone to tell her something, or I'll see something funny. And my first thought is, Lily would love this. Is that being in love, or is that just muscle memory? I don't have an answer for him, but I understand the question. I dream about my wedding day sometimes, I offer. Not the actual day that never happened, but the day it was supposed to be. And I dream I'm standing in the venue in my dress and everyone is there and I'm waiting for David to show up. And I wait, and eventually I realize he's not coming. But instead of being devastated, I'm just relieved, like I dodged something terrible. Maybe you did. Maybe I pull my jacket tighter. Or maybe I'm just telling myself that to feel better. Those aren't mutually exclusive. We stand there for a while longer, watching the water and the sky and the way they meet at the horizon. It occurs to me that this is the longest real conversation Nathan and I have ever had. Before this, it was always just pleasantries in the hallway, small talk in the lobby, the kind of surface-level neighborly interaction that everyone has. But this feels different. This feels like we're actually seeing each other. We should probably practice, Nathan says eventually. Practice what? Being a couple, physical affection, we're going to have to sell this. He's right, of course, but the idea of practicing intimacy with this man I barely know makes my stomach flip. Okay, I say, like what? Nathan steps closer, Not too close, but closer than strangers would stand. Hand holding, he says. That's probably the minimum. He holds out his hand. I look at it for a second, long fingers slightly calloused, a thin scar across the knuckles, and then I take it. His hand is warm, solid. It engulfs mine completely, and there's something reassuring about that. Like I could trust this hand to hold on to me if I needed it to. This okay? He asks. Yeah. My voice comes out quieter than I intended. It's okay. We stand like that, holding hands on the ferry deck like an actual couple, and I try to ignore the fact that my heart is beating faster than it should be. This is fake, I remind myself. This is an agreement, a business transaction with clearly defined terms. But Nathan's thumb brushes against mine just once, barely noticeable, and I wonder if he's as convinced of that as I am. Whidbey Island rises out of the water like something from a different time. Green and gray and endless, with houses tucked into hillsides and beaches that stretch on forever. Sophie and James chose a venue on the western shore, a restored barn with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the sound. It's beautiful. Of course it's beautiful. Sophie wouldn't settle for anything less. We pull up to the main house where the wedding party is staying, and I can already see people milling around. My stomach clenches. You ready? Nathan asks. No. Me neither. Somehow that makes it better. We get out of the car, and before I can overthink it, Nathan reaches for my hand again. This time it feels slightly more natural. Or maybe I'm just getting better at lying to myself. Emma, Sophie comes running down the porch steps, all dark hair and bright smile and boundless energy. She throws her arms around me, and I hug her back, grateful for the momentary distraction. You made it, and you must be Nathan. She turns to him with that appraising look I know too well. I've heard so much about you. All good things, I hope, Nathan says, shaking her hand. Mostly. Sophie grins. Come on, let me show you where you're staying. We had to put you in the cottage. It's a little separate from the main house, but it's actually kind of romantic. You'll like it. I freeze. Cottage as in one cottage? Yeah, sorry, we ran out of rooms. But it has a pull-out couch if you need it. Or she winks. Maybe you won't. Nathan squeezes my hand. I can't tell if it's reassurance or panic. That's perfect, I hear myself say. Thank you, Soph. We follow her down a path through the trees to a small structure that looks like something out of a fairy tale. Cedar shingles, white trim flower boxes under the windows. Inside, it's cozy, one large room with a fireplace, a queen bed, a small kitchenette, and yes, a pull-out couch. One bed. Of course, now do you guess? I'll let you guys get settled, Sophie says. Rehearsal dinner starts at 6, casual dress, but wedding casual, which means nice. Got it. She hugs me again. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad you have someone. You deserve this, Em. Then she's gone, and Nathan and I are alone in a cottage with one bed, in a week of pretending stretching ahead of us. I'll take the couch, Nathan says immediately. You don't have to. Emma, I'll take the couch. I nod, grateful. We unpack in silence. Nathan hangs his suit in the closet next to my dress. I arrange my toiletries in the bathroom and try not to notice when he sets his shaving kit next to them. Everything about this feels simultaneously too intimate and not intimate enough. I need to call my parents, Nathan says. Let them know we arrived safely. Okay, I should probably check in with Sophie anyway. He steps outside to make the call. I sit on the edge of the bed and stare at my phone at the text from my mother that came through while we were driving. Looking forward to meeting Nathan tonight. Your father and I are very happy for you. Guilt twists in my stomach. This is for the best, I tell myself. This is survival. This is what I need to get through this week without falling apart. But sitting here in this cottage surrounded by evidence of my sister's happiness, I can't shake the feeling that I'm making a terrible mistake. The rehearsal dinner is held in the barn at sunset, long tables set with candles and wildflowers. String lights overhead. The kind of effortlessly perfect aesthetic that Sophie has always been able to pull off. I'm wearing a navy dress, simple, elegant, safe, and Nathan is beside me in slacks in a button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up. We look like a couple. We're acting like a couple. His hand finds the small of my back as we navigate through the crowd. I lean into him slightly when we pause to talk to relatives. We're selling this, and I hate how easy it feels. Emma, I turned to see my parents, Dad with his wire-rimmed glasses and patient smile, Mom with her perfectly styled hair and critical eye that misses nothing. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I hugged them both. This is Nathan. Nathan, these are my parents, Kevin and Lisa Chen. Nathan shakes hands with my father, first firm, respectful, and then my mother who studies him like she's reading a book written in a foreign language. It's wonderful to meet you both, Nathan says. Thank you for including me this weekend. Of course, my mother says. Emma has told us so little about you. We were beginning to think you didn't exist. I force a laugh. I wanted to be sure before I introduced everyone. Sure about what? Mom's eyebrow raises. You've been dating for 2 months, Emma. That's quite a long time to keep someone a secret. Nathan's hand settles on my waist. Actually, that was my fault, Mrs. Chen. I travel frequently for work, and I didn't want Emma to feel obligated to explain my absences to her family. But I'm very glad to be here now. Smooth, so smooth. My mother softened slightly. What kind of work do you do? Documentary photography. I've been covering conflict zones for the past few years, but I'm transitioning to more local projects now. Conflict zones, my father perks up. Where have you been? And just like that, Nathan has won over my dad. They're deep in conversation about Syria and Ukraine and the ethics of war photography within seconds. My mother watches them with something that might be approval, then turns to me. He seems nice, she says quietly. He is. Stable? Yes, Mom. Good, you need stable. She pauses. You seem different with him. Different how? Lighter, like you're not carrying quite so much weight. The observation catches me off guard, because it's true. Even though this is fake, even though we're lying to everyone, being here with Nathan feels easier than I expected. I'm happy, Mom, I say, and I'm surprised to realize it's not entirely a lie. Dinner is a blur of introductions and small talk and watching Sophie glow with happiness. James makes a toast that has everyone laughing and crying. My father stands up to welcome James to the family in his quiet, earnest way. And through it all, Nathan stays close. Not hovering, not possessive, just present. He knows when to join conversations and when to let me handle them. He knows when I need him to deflect attention and when I need him to stay quiet. It's like he can read me, which is impossible because we barely know each other. But maybe that's the point. Maybe it's easier to see clearly when you're not clouded by history. There you are. I look up to find David standing beside our table. He looks the same. Sandy hair, blue eyes, the same easy smile that made me fall for him 5 years ago. He's wearing a blazer over a polo shirt, and there's a drink in his hand. Claire is beside him. Blonde, beautiful, my former best friend who helped me pick out my wedding dress. Hi, Emma, David says. Hi. Nathan stands. I didn't tell him to, didn't ask him to, but he's on his feet and his hand is extended. Nathan Pierce, he says. David shakes his hand, sizing him up the way men do. David Morrison. Emma's? Well, I'm an old friend. He's my ex-fiancé, I say, because I'm not going to let him rewrite history. And this is Claire. Hi, Claire says softly. She can't quite meet my eyes. There's a beat of awkward silence. Then Nathan's hand finds my shoulder. I've heard about you, he says to David. His voice is even polite, but there's something underneath it, something protective. All good things, I'm sure, David says with that same easy smile. Not particularly. The smile falters. I want to disappear, want to rewind time and avoid this entire conversation. But Nathan's hand is warm and steady on my shoulder, and somehow that keeps me grounded. We should go, Claire says quickly. We just wanted to say hello. Right, yeah. David looks at me. You look good, Emma. Happy. I am, I say, and I lift my chin slightly, daring him to question it. They walk away. I don't watch them go. You okay? Nathan asks quietly. Yeah. I breathe out slowly. Thank you. For what? For standing up. For I don't know how to finish that sentence. Nathan sits back down, his hand sliding from my shoulder to take my hand under the table where no one can see. That's what fake boyfriends are for, right? Right. But his thumb brushes against mine again, that same gesture from the ferry, and I wonder if either of us believes that anymore. Later, after dinner winds down and people start drifting back to their rooms, Nathan and I walk back to the cottage together. The path is lit by solar lights stuck into the ground. The sound of the ocean is distant but present, and the air smells like salt and pine and possibility. You handled tonight well, I say. So did you. I thought I'd fall apart when I saw David. But you didn't, because you were there. Nathan stops walking. We're halfway to the cottage surrounded by trees, and he's looking at me with that expression I can't quite read. Emma, he says, I need to tell you something. My heart speeds up. Okay. That night you came to my door. When you asked me to do this, but before he can finish, his phone buzzes. He pulls it out, frowns at the screen. It's my mom. I should take this. Of course. He steps a few feet away, and I hear him answer. Hi, Mom. Yeah, we're here. It's beautiful. Emma's family is great. I don't mean to eavesdrop, but I hear his mother's voice on the other end, warm, concerned, asking if he's okay, asking if he's happy. Yeah, Nathan says quietly. Yeah, I think I might be. Something in my chest tightens. When he hangs up, we continue to the cottage in silence. Inside, Nathan pulls out the couch bed while I get ready for sleep in the bathroom. When I come out in my pajamas, he's already lying down, still fully dressed except for his shoes. Good night, Emma, he says. Good night, Nathan. I climb into the bed, the queen bed that smells like lavender and new linens, and stare at the ceiling. This was supposed to be simple, a transaction, a week of acting. But lying here in the dark, listening to Nathan's breathing, even out from across the room, I realize I'm in trouble. Because somewhere between the ferry and the dinner, and the way he stood beside me when David appeared, this stopped feeling like pretend. And I have no idea what to do about that. I wake up to the sound of waves. For a moment, I forget where I am. Then it comes back, the cottage, Whidbey Island, the wedding. Nathan's sleeping on the pull-out couch across the room. Except when I open my eyes, the couch is empty. The blanket is folded neatly. His bag is still here, so he didn't leave. Just somewhere else. I check my phone. 6:30 in the morning. The wedding isn't until 2 this afternoon. I could go back to sleep, but my mind is already racing with yesterday's events. David's face, Claire's guilt, the way Nathan stood beside me like it was the most natural thing in the world, the way I wanted him to. I get up, pull on leggings and a sweater, and step outside. The morning is gray and misty, the kind of Pacific Northwest morning that feels like being inside a cloud. I follow the path toward the beach, and that's where I find him. Nathan is standing at the water's edge, camera in hand, photographing the mist rolling in over the sound. He's wearing the same clothes from last night, and his hair is messy like he's been out here for a while. I don't call out to him. Instead, I watch. He moves like this is meditation. Slow, deliberate, completely absorbed. He adjusts angles, shifts his weight, waits for the light to change. There's something beautiful about watching someone do what they love. Something vulnerable about seeing them when they don't know they're being seen. Then he lowers the camera and turns like he sensed me there. Morning, he says. Morning. I walk down to join him. Couldn't sleep. I don't sleep much. He glances at the camera. This helps. Taking pictures. Finding things worth taking pictures of. We stand side by side looking out at the water. The sun is starting to break through the mist, turning everything silver and gold. What were you going to tell me last night? I ask. Before your mom called. Nathan is quiet for a long moment. Then, that I'm glad you asked me to do this. That's it. That's it. I know he's lying, or at least not telling the whole truth, but I don't push, because maybe I'm not ready to hear it. Maybe I'm not ready to admit that this thing between us, this fake thing, feels more real than anything I had with David. You want to walk? Nathan asks. Sure. We head down the beach, shoes in hand, letting the cold water lap at our feet. It's too early for other people. Just us and the seabirds in the endless gray sky. Tell me something real, Nathan says suddenly. What? Something real, not about the agreement or the wedding or what we're supposed to be, just something true about you. I think about that. I stopped playing piano after David left. Why? Because he used to listen to me practice. He'd sit on the couch with his laptop, half working, half listening. And after he left, I couldn't sit at that piano without hearing the silence where he used to be. I pause. That sounds dramatic. It sounds honest. Your turn. Nathan picks up a piece of driftwood, turns it over in his hands. I took that assignment in Syria because I wanted to die. The words hit like a punch. Not actively, he continues. I wasn't suicidal, but I was reckless. I took risks I shouldn't have taken. Went places other photographers wouldn't go. And part of me thought if something happened, if I didn't come back, at least it would be for something that mattered. He throws the driftwood into the water. Lily deserves someone who wanted to live, and I wasn't that person anymore. What changed? Nothing, everything. I don't know. He looks at me. I came back because my editor threatened to pull my credentials if I didn't. I came back because my parents were falling apart. I came back because 3 years of watching people die made me realize that survival isn't something you earn. It's just something that happens to you, and you either do something with it or you don't. I don't know what to say to that, so I just reach for his hand, he takes it, and we keep walking. Do you still think about dying? I ask quietly. Sometimes. Less now than before. He squeezes my hand. What about you? Do you still think about David? Sometimes. Less now than before. Or, Sean? He almost smiles at that. We walk until the beach curves away from the cottage until we can't see anything familiar anymore. And then we turn back. Emma, Nathan says as we're approaching the cottage. Last night when I said I was glad you asked me to do this. Nathan, Emma. We both turned to see Sophie jogging toward us, still in her pajamas, her hair wild. There you are. I've been looking everywhere. Mom wants to do family photos before the ceremony, and the photographer just arrived early and she stops noticing our joined hands, our wet feet, the way we're standing close together. Did I interrupt something? No, I say quickly. We were just walking. At 7 in the morning. I wanted to see the sunrise, Nathan says. Emma showed me the best spot. Sophie grins. You two are disgustingly cute. Okay, come on, we need to get ready. Photos in an hour. She grabs my hand and starts pulling me toward the main house. I look back at Nathan, who just shakes his head slightly, like whatever he was going to say can wait. But I'm starting to wonder if it should. The next few hours are chaos, hair and makeup. Sophie having a minor breakdown over a missing earring that turns out to be in her purse. Mom directing everyone like a general commanding troops. Dad looking uncomfortable in his tuxedo, but refusing to admit it. Through it all, I keep thinking about Nathan on the beach. The way he said he wanted to die. The way he's holding my hand like it's keeping him tethered to something. Emma, you're not paying attention. I blink. Sophie is staring at me, half in her wedding dress, looking annoyed. Sorry, what? I asked if you could help me with these buttons. Of course. I cross to her, start working on the seemingly endless row of tiny pearl buttons down her back. In the mirror, I can see her watching me. Are you okay? She asks. I'm fine. You seem distracted. It's your wedding day, Soph. I'm just emotional. About me getting married or about something else. I focus on the buttons. What else would there be? Nathan. My hand still. What about Nathan? You're falling for him. I'm not Emma. She turns to face me, half-buttoned dress and all. I've known you my entire life. I know what you look like when you're pretending to be okay. And I know what you look like when you're actually okay. With him, you're actually okay. I don't know how to respond to that, because she's right, and it terrifies me. It's been 2 months, I say finally. That's not long enough to... Mom and Dad got engaged after 6 weeks. That was different. Why? Because they're them and you're you, because you're still afraid of getting hurt again. Sophie takes my hands. David was an idiot, and what he did to you was unforgivable. But Nathan isn't David. I can see that. Even after just meeting him yesterday, I can see that. You don't know him. Maybe not, but I know you, and I haven't seen you this alive in 2 years. Before I can argue, Mom appears in the doorway. Girls, we need to finish getting ready. The photographer is waiting. Sophie squeezes my hands once more, then turns back to the mirror. And I finish buttoning her dress, my mind spinning with everything she said. The wedding is beautiful. Of course it is. Sophie wouldn't have it any other way. The barn has been transformed into something out of a fairy tale, white flowers everywhere, gauzy curtains catching the light, chairs arranged in neat rows facing the windows that overlook the sound. The sun broke through the clouds just in time, turning everything golden. I stand as a bridesmaid wearing a soft sage green dress that Sophie chose because it makes your eyes look incredible. Nathan is sitting in the third row with my parents, and I can feel his gaze on me throughout the ceremony. When James and Sophie say their vows, I cry. Not sad tears, happy ones. Real ones. Because they love each other with this uncomplicated, wholehearted joy that I thought only existed in movies. I promise to choose you. Sophie says, her voice steady despite the tears on her cheeks. Every day, in every way, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. And James, quiet James, who rarely speaks in front of crowds, says, I promise to see you. Not who I want you to be or who you think you should be, but who you are, and to love that person with everything I have. I glance at Nathan without meaning to. He's already looking at me, and something passes between us, some understanding, some question, some possibility that I'm not brave enough to name. The reception is in full swing when Nathan finds me hiding in the garden. I'm not actually hiding, just taking a break from the noise and the people and the constant performance of being happy. Because I am happy for Sophie. I am. But there's something exhausting about watching other people's joy when you're not sure what your own looks like anymore. There you are, Nathan says, sitting beside me on the stone bench. He's loosened his tie, rolled up his sleeves. He looks good in a suit. Unfairly good. Here I am. You disappeared after the first dance. I needed air. Me too. We sit in silence for a moment. From here, we can see the barn lit up like a lantern, hear the music and laughter spilling out into the night. Your parents like me, Nathan says. They do. Your dad asked me about cameras for 45 minutes. Your mom told me I have a steady presence. I think that's a compliment. It is. Coming from her, it's high praise. And Sophie cornered me during cocktail hour. I groan. What did she say? She said if I hurt you, she'll make sure I never take another photograph again. He pauses. She was very specific about which finger she'd break. She's protective. She loves you. I know. Nathan shifts closer. Our shoulders touch. She also said you're afraid of being happy. She talks too much. Is she right? I don't answer immediately. Because yes, Sophie is right, and it's humiliating to admit. After David, I say finally, I kept thinking, what if I was wrong about everything? What if I completely misread him, misread us, and I'm just fundamentally bad at knowing what's real? How do you trust your own judgment after that? You don't, Nathan says. Not for a while, you just keep moving forward and hope you learn something. Have you learned something? He's quiet. Then I learned that love doesn't keep people alive. It doesn't protect them. Lily loved me, and she still died. And for a long time, I thought that meant love was pointless. Just another way to hurt yourself. What do you think now? Now I think, he stops, starts again. I think maybe love isn't about protection. Maybe it's about bearing witness, about seeing someone fully and letting them see you. And if that's all it is, if that's all we get, maybe that's enough. I turn to look at him. Nathan, dance with me. What? He stands, offers his hand. Dance with me. For real this time. Not for your family or for appearances. Just because. I take his hand. Let him pull me up. There's no music out here, just the distant sound of the reception and the ocean. But Nathan pulls me close anyway, one hand on my waist, the other holding mine, and we sway together in the garden under the stars with no one watching. I need to tell you something, he says. My heart is pounding. Okay? That night you came to my door. Nathan, you don't have to. I knew who you were. I stopped moving. What? He doesn't let go of me. If anything, he holds on tighter. I'd seen you before, in the building, obviously. But also, 3 months ago, you were in the hallway outside your apartment. It was late. You were crying. The memory hits me. I'd had dinner with my parents. They'd spent the entire meal asking when I was going to get back out there, suggesting blind dates with sons of their friends. And I'd come home and just broken down. I'd been out, Nathan continues, coming back from a therapy session. And I saw you and I wanted to say something, do something. But I didn't know you, didn't know if you'd want a stranger seeing you like that. So I just went to my apartment. But I couldn't stop thinking about it, about you, about what could make someone cry like that in a hallway where anyone could see. Nathan. And then 2 months later, you knocked on my door with that ridiculous contract. And I thought, he stops. I thought it was a sign, a chance to be near you without having to risk, I don't know, risk being honest about the fact that I'd noticed you, that I'd been noticing you. I should be angry. I should feel betrayed, manipulated, used. But all I feel is relief. I saw you first, I say. What? Months before that. You were moving in, you had Buzz in your camera bag, and you looked so tired. Like you'd been carrying the world and finally set it down. And I thought, I take a breath. I thought you were the most beautiful, sad person I'd ever seen. And then I felt terrible for thinking that, for being attracted to someone's sadness. Nathan laughs, actually laughs. So we're both creepy stalkers, apparently. And this whole thing, the agreement, the fake dating, was maybe not as fake as we pretended it was. We're not dancing anymore, just standing there holding each other, faces inches apart. Emma, Nathan says, I think I'm falling in love with you. The words hang between us. I should say something, should tell him I feel the same way. But I'm frozen because hearing it out loud makes it real, makes it something I have to face. You don't have to say anything, Nathan says quickly. I just needed you to know. Whatever happens after this week, whatever we decide about the agreement, I needed you to know that for me, it stopped being pretend somewhere around the ferry. The ferry. When you told me about David, about Claire, about feeling like you weren't enough, and all I could think was, how could anyone look at you and think you weren't everything? I'm going to cry with that. I'm going to fall apart right here in this garden. I'm scared, I whisper. Me too. What if we're wrong? What if this is just proximity and convenience and timing? What if it's not? I don't have an answer for that. Emma, Sophie's voice cuts through the night. Emma, where are you? We're doing the bouquet toss. Reality crashes back in. We should go, I say. Nathan nods, but he doesn't let go of my hand as we walk back to the barn. I catch the bouquet. Of course I do, because the universe has a sense of humor. Sophie tosses it directly at me, and my hands come up on instinct, and suddenly I'm holding white roses and baby's breath, while everyone cheers and Nathan watches from the crowd with an expression I can't quite read. Looks like you're next, someone shouts. I force a smile. Play along. But inside, I'm screaming. The rest of the reception passes in a blur. More dancing, more toasts, more watching, happy couples. Be happy together. Claire and David leave early. I see them slip out during the cake cutting. I pretend not to notice. By the time Nathan and I make it back to the cottage, it's after midnight. We're both exhausted, slightly drunk on champagne and emotion. That was quite a day, Nathan says, loosening his tie. Yeah, you were beautiful up there during the ceremony. You clean up pretty well yourself. We're being careful with each other, polite, like we didn't just confess feelings in the garden, like everything isn't different now. I go to the bathroom to change. When I come out, Nathan has already pulled out the couch bed, but he's sitting on it, still in his dress pants and unbuttoned shirt, staring at his phone. Everything okay? I ask. He looks up. My editor emailed about the Love and Loss project. The one you mentioned. Yeah. He wants to meet on Thursday to discuss next steps. Apparently there's interest from a gallery in New York. They're talking about a full exhibition. Nathan, that's amazing. It is, but he doesn't sound excited. He sounds conflicted. What's wrong? He sets the phone down. The project is due in 2 months, and it's not done. I thought I was documenting other people, the strangers in the city, couples, families, general themes of love and loss. But lately what? He meets my eyes. Lately, I've been photographing you. My breath catches. What? In a creepy way. Just you're in my viewfinder constantly. You reading on the ferry. You laughing with Sophie. You standing in the garden tonight. And I realized today, looking at those photos, that the project isn't about strangers anymore. It's about you, about us, about this thing we're pretending isn't real. I don't know what to say to that. Can I show you, he asked. Show me what? The photos. I have them on my laptop. I should say no, should maintain boundaries, should protect myself. Okay, I hear myself say. Nathan retrieves his laptop from his bag. We sit side by side on the couch, bed close but not touching, and he opens a folder labeled simply Emma. There are dozens of photos, maybe hundreds. Me in the building lobby checking my mail. Me on the ferry, wind in my hair. Me at the rehearsal dinner, mid-laugh at something Sophie said. Me walking on the beach this morning, barefoot and lost in thought. But it's not just the photos themselves, it's how he's framed them. The light, the angles, the way he's captured moments I didn't even know he was witnessing. This is how you see me, I whisper. This is who you are. I'm not posed in any of these. I'm not performing. I'm just existing. And somehow through Nathan's lens, existing looks like enough. There's more, he says quietly. He clicks to a different folder. These photos are older, dated from months ago, and my heart stops, because it's me, in the hallway outside my apartment, crying, not many photos, just 3 or 4, taken from a distance, slightly blurred like he shot them quickly and then stopped himself. I shouldn't have taken these, Nathan says. I know that, but I couldn't help it. You look so broken and so beautiful in your breaking. And I wanted to capture that moment because I recognized it, because I'd been there, because I thought maybe if I could show you how you looked in that moment, not weak, not pathetic, but incredibly devastatingly human, you'd see what I see. I'm crying now, silent tears that I can't stop. You've been carrying these photos for months, I say. Yes. You said yes to the fake dating because you wanted an excuse to be near me. Yes. And now you're in love with me. Yes. I close the laptop, turn to face him. Nathan, my phone rings. We both freeze. I almost don't answer. But then I see the caller ID, Mom. I have to take this, I say. Of course. I step outside, pulling a blanket around my shoulders. Hi, Mom. Emma. Her voice is tight. I need to tell you something about tomorrow. Tomorrow, the day after the wedding. We're supposed to stay through Tuesday morning, then drive back to Seattle. What about tomorrow? Your father and I invited Nathan's parents to brunch before you both leave. I thought it would be nice for our families to get to know each other better. My stomach drops. Mom, you didn't. They're driving down from Spokane tonight. They'll be here by 10. That's not necessary. Emma, he's a lovely man, and you two are clearly serious about each other. It's time we started treating this relationship with the respect it deserves. She hangs up before I can argue. I stand there in the cold blanket wrapped around me, staring at my phone. Tomorrow, Nathan's parents will be here tomorrow. The parents who think we're actually dating. The parents who think their son is finally moving on from his dead wife. And we'll have to keep lying, keep performing, keep pretending this is real when it's what? Not fake anymore. Not exactly real either. Something in between, something undefined, something terrifying. I go back inside. Nathan is still sitting on the couch bed waiting. That was my mom, I say. She invited your parents to brunch tomorrow before we leave. Nathan goes very still. She what? They're driving down from Spokane. They'll be here by 10. Emma, I know, this is getting out of hand. We need to, I stop. What do we do? Nathan stands, crosses to me, takes my hands. We go to brunch, he says. We smile and make small talk and get through it, just like we've been doing. And then what? And then we figure it out. After this week is over, after we're back in Seattle, we figure out what this is. What if I don't want to wait? The words surprise both of us. Nathan's hands tighten on mine. What are you saying? I'm saying I take a breath. I'm saying I'm falling too, and I'm terrified, and I don't know if this is real or if we're just two broken people finding comfort in each other. But I don't want to wait until Seattle to figure it out. I want to know now. Know what? If you kiss me right now, if we cross that line we swore we wouldn't cross, will it feel like a lie? Or will it feel like the first honest thing we've done all week? Nathan stares at me. Then slowly, carefully, he lifts one hand to cup my face. There's only one way to find out, he says. And he kisses me. It's not the kind of kiss you give someone you're pretending to love. It's not careful or calculated or performed for anyone's benefit. It's desperate. It's honest. It's everything I've been afraid to feel. His other hand slides into my hair. My arms wrap around his neck. We kiss like we're drowning. And this is air, like we've been holding back for so long that letting go feels like falling and flying at the same time. When we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. Well, Nathan asks, his forehead against mine. Definitely not a lie, I whisper. He laughs, actually laughs, and then he kisses me again. We end up on the couch bed together, still mostly clothed, just kissing and touching and saying things we should have said weeks ago. The agreement is forgotten. The rules are broken, and I don't care. Because this feels real, terrifyingly, wonderfully, impossibly real. I wake up wrapped in Nathan's arms. We fell asleep like this, fully clothed on top of the blankets. Nothing happened beyond kissing and holding each other, but somehow this feels more intimate than anything I ever had with David. Nathan is still asleep. His face is soft in the morning light, peaceful in a way I've never seen when he's awake. I could stay like this forever, but then I remember. Brunch, parents, the performance we still have to give. Nathan, I whisper. He stirs, opens his eyes, sees me and smiles, a real smile, unguarded and warm. Morning, he says. Morning. We lie there for a moment just looking at each other. Then reality crashes back in. We should talk, Nathan says. We should, but neither of us moves. Last night, he starts. Was real, I finish. Wasn't it? Yeah, it was real. So what does that mean for the agreement for us? Nathan sits up, running a hand through his hair. I don't know. I know what I want it to mean, but I also know we started this thing based on a lie, and I don't want to build something real on that foundation. So what do? Well, we could tell the truth today at brunch, tell both our families that we've been faking this, that it started as an arrangement but became something else. They'll be furious. Probably. My mother will never forgive me. Maybe not. I think about that, about the disappointment in my parents' eyes, the betrayal Sophie will feel, the gossip that will follow. Or, I say slowly, we could keep going, finish out the week like we planned, and then when we're back in saddle, when this is all over, we could start fresh, for real this time. Nathan looks at me. You want to keep lying? I want to give ourselves a chance, without all this pressure, without our families watching, just us figuring out what this is. And if it doesn't work, then at least we tried. He's quiet for a long moment. Then, okay, we finish the week. We go to brunch, smile for our parents, and get through this. And then when we're home, we start over. Properly. Properly. Which means I get to take you on a real first date. Despite everything, I smile. What makes you think I'll say yes? Because you kissed me like you were trying to memorize me. Cocky. Hopeful. There's a knock at the door. We both freeze. Emma, Nathan. Are you awake? It's Sophie's voice. I scramble off the couch bed, suddenly aware of how disheveled we both look. Nathan stands too, buttoning his shirt. I open the door. Sophie takes one look at us and grins. Oh my God, you slept together. We did not, literally slept together. You're both wearing yesterday's clothes and you have that look. What look? The we finally admitted our feelings look. She pushes past me into the cottage. This is adorable. I knew it. I told James last night, I said, Sophie, we need to get ready for brunch, I interrupt. Right, brunch, where you're meeting Nathan's parents, who think you're in a serious relationship. She looks between us. You are in a serious relationship now, right? Because if you're not, you two need to work on your communication skills. Nathan and I exchange glances. We're figuring it out, he says. Good, because I have never seen my sister this happy. And if you heard her, Nathan, I meant what I said about your fingers. Noted. Sophie hugs me quickly. I'm so glad you found each other. Even if you did lie to everyone about how. She leaves before I can respond. I turn to Nathan. She knew, apparently. How? Because you're a terrible liar, Emma. You always have been. He's right, and somehow that makes me love him more. Love. The word stops me cold. Do I love him? After 2 months of fake dating and one night of real kissing, I look at Nathan, at this man who photographs pain and beauty, who carries ghosts and still makes room for something new, who saw me crying in a hallway and kept that moment because he understood it. Yeah, I think I might love him. And that terrifies me more than anything. Brunch is a disaster waiting to happen. I can feel it the moment we walk into the main house dining room and see both sets of parents already seated. Mom and dad on one side looking pleased with themselves, and across from them, a couple I recognize from the photos Nathan keeps on his bookshelf, Michael and Susan Pierce. Nathan's father has the same gray eyes. His mother has Nathan's quiet intensity. They both stand when they see us, and Susan immediately crosses to pull her son into a hug. Nathan, she says, and there's so much relief in her voice that I feel guilty just hearing it. Hi, Mom. Dad. Nathan hugs his father too, then turns to me. This is Emma. Susan takes my hands. We've heard so much about you. Kevin and Lisa won't stop talking about how wonderful you are. That's very kind, I manage. We sit. Food is served, fruit pastries, quiche that someone clearly spent hours making. Everyone makes small talk about the wedding, the weather, the drive from Spokane. And through it all, Nathan's hand finds mine under the table. So, Michael says, setting down his coffee cup, how did you two really meet? There's something in his tone, something knowing. In the building lobby, I say, sticking to our story, we're neighbors. Right, but when did you actually start dating? Nathan shifts beside me. About 2 months ago. Why? Because Susan says gently, when we talked to you last month, you said you weren't seeing anyone. You were very clear about that. And then suddenly 3 weeks ago, you mentioned you were bringing someone to a wedding. A serious someone. The room goes quiet. People can meet quickly, my mother says, trying to help. Sometimes you just know. Sometimes, Michael agrees. But I know my son, and I know when he's hiding something. Dad, Nathan starts. Are you two actually together? Susan asks. Or is this something else? I feel the blood drain from my face. Nathan's hand tightens on mine. We're together. Nathan, his mother says, please don't lie to me. Not about this. I'm not lying. And then look at me and tell me you're in love with this woman. The challenge hangs in the air. Nathan turns to face his mother, and then he says very clearly, I'm in love with her. The words hit me like a physical force. But you weren't, Michael says quietly. When this started, you weren't in love. This was an arrangement of some kind, wasn't it? No one speaks. I knew it, Susan says, and she sounds more sad than angry. Nathan, why would you do this? Why would you lie to us? Because you wouldn't stop, Nathan says, his voice tight. You wouldn't stop trying to fix me, to set me up with people, to make me move on according to your timeline. And I couldn't. He stops. I couldn't explain that I wasn't ready, that I might never be ready. So when Emma needed someone for this wedding, it seemed like a solution for both of us. My parents are staring at me now. Molly Obama, Dad says, is this true? I want to lie, want to protect the fragile thing Nathan and I have built, but I can't. Not anymore. Yes, I whisper. It started as an arrangement. I needed a date for the wedding. Nathan needed his parents to stop worrying. We agreed to pretend for a week. A week, Mom repeats, her voice ice. You've been lying to us for a week. Not lying, just not telling the whole truth. That's the definition of lying, Emma. Sophie appears in the doorway. She must have heard everything. Wait, so it really was fake? It was, Nathan says, at first. And now it's real. He looks at me. At least it is for me. Everyone turns to stare at me. Amma, Sophie asks, is it real for you too? I look at Nathan, at his parents who drove 3 hours because they thought their son was finally healing. At my parents who look more disappointed than I've ever seen them. At Sophie, whose wedding I've tainted with my lies. I don't know, I hear myself say. Nathan drops my hand. You don't know, and he repeats flatly. I mean, it's complicated. We started this as fake, and now there are feelings, but I don't know if those feelings are real or if they're just what convenient side effect of playing pretend. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Emma? His voice is sharp now, hurt. Because I just told my parents I'm in love with you. I just laid everything out there. And you're saying you don't know? Nathan, I'm scared. We're all scared. That's not an excuse. He stands abruptly. I need some air. Nathan, wait. But he's already walking out. The silence he leaves behind is deafening. I find him on the beach an hour later. He's sitting on a piece of driftwood camera in his lap staring at the water. He doesn't turn when I approach, but I know he hears me. "Can we talk?" I ask. "I don't know. Can we? Or are you still figuring out if your feelings are real?" The bitterness in his voice stings. "That's not fair," I say. "You're right. Nothing about this is fair." He finally looks at me. "I told you I was falling in love with you. Last night in the garden, and you kissed me. You kissed me like it meant something. And then this morning when my mother asked if this was real, you said you don't know." "Because I don't, Nathan. We've known each other for 6 months and barely talked until 2 weeks ago. We built this entire relationship on a lie. How am I supposed to know what's real and what's just us playing a part? By trusting it, by trusting me. I did trust someone. I trusted David. And look how that turned out. I'm not David. I know that, do you? Because from where I'm standing, it seems like you're using him as an excuse to not take a risk, to not admit that maybe, just maybe, this thing between us is real." I wrap my arms around myself. "What do you want from me? Honesty, clarity, something more than, I don't know." He stands. "I showed you those photos, Emma. I told you I've been carrying your image around for months. I confess that I agreed to this whole thing because I wanted an excuse to be near you. I've been vulnerable with you in ways I haven't been with anyone since Lily died. And you're still sitting on the fence, afraid to commit. That's not fair. I'm trying to process this." "Process what?" "The fact that you have feelings for me, because I know you do. I felt it last night. I felt it in the way you kissed me. But you're too scared to admit it because then you'd have to risk something. And Emma Chen doesn't take risks. Emma Chen plays it safe." The words land like a slap. "You don't know me," I say quietly. "Don't I? I've been photographing you for months, watching you, learning you. I know that you bite your lower lip when you're thinking. I know that you touch your necklace when you're nervous. I know that you haven't played piano in 2 years because you're afraid of the silence. I know you better than you think. That's not knowing me. That's observing me. There's a difference. Then tell me something I don't know. Tell me something real." I stare at him. "You want real? Fine. Here's real. I'm terrified. I'm terrified that I'm falling in love with you and that it's going to end exactly like it did with David. I'm terrified that I'm going to give you everything and you're going to realize I'm not enough. That I'm never enough. And I'm terrified that even if this is real, even if we try, you're going to wake up one day and realize you're still in love with a ghost." Nathan flinches. "That's what you think, that I'm using you as a replacement for Lily. Aren't you? Well, no, no. He runs a hand through his hair. "Lily was my wife. I loved her. I'll always love her, but she's gone. And I've spent 4 years trying to figure out how to live with that. And then you knocked on my door with that ridiculous contract, and for the first time in 4 years, I wanted to be alive. Not just surviving, actually living." Tears are streaming down my face now. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to trust this. Then we figure it out together, but you have to actually be willing to try. You have to stop standing at the edge, waiting for permission to jump. What if I jump and you're not there to catch me? What if you jump and I am? We stare at each other. The ocean crashes behind us. Seabirds cry overhead. And I'm standing at a crossroads I never wanted to face. "I need time," I say finally. "I need to think about this without all the pressure, without our families watching, without the performance." Nathan nods slowly. "Okay? Well, hey, we'll go back to Seattle. You take your time, figure out what you want. And when you are ready, if you're ready, you know where to find me." Nathan. "But Emma," he picks up his camera, "I can't keep doing this. I can't keep pretending while you decide if I'm worth the risk. So take your time. But know that I'm done waiting. I've spent 4 years in limbo. I'm not doing it again." He walks past me back toward the cottage, and I'm left standing on the beach alone with the weight of my fear crushing me. We drive back to Seattle in silence. The goodbye with our families was awkward. My parents are furious with me. Nathan's parents are worried about him. Sophie pulled me aside and said, Don't let fear ruin this. But I couldn't promise her anything. Now Nathan and I are in my car, and the space between us feels like an ocean. I'll grab my things from the cottage and be out of your way, Nathan says as we pull into our building's parking garage. You don't have to. Emma, I do. We both need space. We ride the elevator in silence, walk down the hallway to our respective apartments. And when we reach his door, Nathan turns to face me. For what it's worth, he says it was real for me. All of it. Then he goes inside and closes the door. I stand there for a long moment, staring at that closed door before finally going to my own apartment. Inside, everything looks the same, but nothing feels the same. I sink onto my couch and finally let myself fall apart. 2 weeks pass. I don't see Nathan. I hear him sometimes, footsteps overhead, the sound of his door opening and closing. But we don't run into each other. I think we're both making sure of that. Work keeps me busy. I throw myself into a new project, a sustainable housing development in Ballard. My boss is thrilled with my dedication. My coworkers think I'm gunning for a promotion. Really, I'm just trying not to think about Nathan. Sophie calls every day. Have you talked to him yet? No. Ma, you're being ridiculous. I'm being careful. You're being a coward. Maybe she's right. My mother calls too. She's less subtle. You embarrassed us. You lied to everyone. And for what, a man you're not even sure you want? I never said I didn't want him. Then what are you waiting for? I don't have an answer. On Thursday afternoon, I'm leaving the office when I see it. A poster on a telephone pole, black and white photograph of the Seattle skyline at dusk. And at the bottom, Love and Loss, a photographic journey, opening reception, Friday 7 p.m., Cascadia Gallery. Nathan's exhibition. My hands shake as I take a picture of the poster with my phone. This is it. His big project. The one that could launch his career. The one he's been working on for months. The one that includes photos of me. I should stay away. Give him space like he asked. Let him have this moment without my presence complicating things. But I can't, because I need to see it. Need to see how he tells the story. Need to understand what he sees when he looks at me. Friday evening, I stand outside Cascadia Gallery at 6:45 p.m. I'm wearing a simple black dress. My hair is down. I look like I'm going to a funeral, which feels appropriate. The gallery is already filling with people. I recognize Nathan's parents near the entrance. Some faces from the Seattle art scene. And there in the center of the room talking to a woman in a blazer, Nathan. He's wearing dark jeans and a gray button-down. His hair is slightly longer than it was 2 weeks ago. He looks tired, but he also looks alive in a way I haven't seen before. Like he's finally found something worth showing up for. I almost turn around, almost leave before he sees me. But then he looks up, and our eyes meet across the gallery. Time stops. He doesn't smile, doesn't wave, just holds my gaze for a long moment before turning back to his conversation. I take a breath and walk inside. The exhibition is stunning. The photographs are arranged in a loose narrative beginning with images of strangers in the city, couples on streets, families in parks. Beautiful, melancholic, capturing moments of connection and isolation. And then about halfway through, the photos change. They become more intimate, more focused, more me. There I am on the ferry in my hair, looking out at the water. There I am in the cottage on Whidbey Island, morning light streaming through the window. There I am laughing at something Sophie said. There I am standing on the beach, lost in thought. But it's not just photos from the wedding week. There are earlier ones too. Me in the building lobby checking my mail. Me walking down the street with coffee in hand. Me sitting in a park near our apartment reading. He's been photographing me for months, just like he said. And I look beautiful. Not in a conventional way, but in a human way. Raw and real and fully myself. I move through the exhibition, slowly taking in each image, and I start to understand. This isn't just about me, it's about him. About learning to see beauty again after loss. About letting himself feel again after shutting down. I'm not replacing Lily. I'm the evidence that he's still capable of connecting, still capable of loving, and somewhere along the way in capturing my image, he fell. I reach the final wall, and there it is. A large frame, empty, completely blank except for a small placard below it that reads, "This space reserved for the rest of our story. if she'll have me. I'm crying before I realize it. I wasn't sure you'd come. I turn. Nathan is standing behind me, hands in his pockets, looking uncertain in a way that breaks my heart. I saw the poster, I say by somebody. I didn't send you an invitation. I thought you needed space. I did, I do. I gesture at the empty frame. What is this exactly what it says? I don't know how our story ends, Emma, but I wanted to leave space for it. Space for possibility. Even if you decide you don't want it. Nathan, you don't have to say anything. You came. That's enough. But it's not enough, not anymore. I've been an idiot, I say. He blinks. What? I've been so scared of being hurt again that I couldn't see what was right in front of me. You've been honest with me from the start. Well, not the start, but once we cleared that up. And I've been hedging, protecting myself, refusing to admit what I feel because admitting it makes it real, makes it something I could lose. Emma, I'm in love with you. The words tumble out. I think I've been in love with you since you stood beside me at the wedding and told David there was a difference between needing someone and choosing them. Maybe even before that. Maybe since the ferry. Maybe since the first time I saw you in the hallway and you looked at me like I was worth seeing. And I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. But I'm more terrified of losing you because I was too afraid to try, Mom. Nathan is staring at me. You're in love with me. Yes. You're sure. I'm sure that I want to find out. I'm sure that I want to take the risk. I'm sure that standing here looking at these photos, seeing myself the way you see me, I've never felt more seen in my entire life, and that's worth fighting for. He closes the distance between us in 2 steps. Say it again, he says. I'm in love with you. Again. I'm in love with you, Nathan Pierce. He kisses me. Right there in the gallery with his parents and strangers in the Seattle art scene watching, he kisses me like I'm the only person in the world. And I kiss him back like I'm finally home. When we break apart, there's applause. I'd forgotten we had an audience. Nathan laughs his forehead against mine. That was quite an entrance. I wanted to make a statement. Mission accomplished. We're both grinning like idiots. So, he says, what happens now? Now we start over, for real this time. No agreements, no contracts, no pretending. Just us, just us. I can work with that. Yeah, he takes my hand and we turn to face the exhibition together. There's something I need to tell you, Nathan says. About that photo, the one from the hallway, when you were crying. Okay. I almost deleted it 100 times. It felt invasive, wrong, but I kept it because it reminded me that I wasn't the only person carrying pain. That maybe if I could see beauty in someone else's breaking, I could find it in my own. He pauses. You saved me, Emma, before you even knew my name. I lean into him. We saved each other. Yeah, I guess we did. 3 months later, I'm sitting at Nathan's piano. He has a piano. I didn't know that until I started spending real time in his apartment. It's an old upright in the corner covered with sheet music and camera equipment. It was my grandmother's, he told me. I can't play, but I couldn't get rid of it. Today I put my fingers on the keys for the first time in 2 years. Nathan is across the room editing photos on his laptop. He glances up when he hears the first few notes. I play something simple, a Chopin nocturne I used to know by heart. My fingers stumble at first out of practice, but slowly the muscle memory returns, and there's no silence where David used to be. There's just Nathan listening. Nathan who looks up from his work and smiles. Nathan who crosses the room and sits beside me on the bench. Keep playing, he says. So I do, and he pulls out his camera and takes a photo. Not of my hands on the keys, of my face, of the expression I'm making that I can't see, but he can. Later he'll show me that photo, and I'll see what he sees, someone who's healing, someone who's learning to trust again, someone who's no longer defined by what she lost, but by what she's found. I love you, I say, still playing. I love you too. Even though I was a disaster at your opening, especially because you were a disaster at my opening. It was very cinematic. I laugh, hitting a wrong note. Sophie wants us to come to dinner next week with my parents. How do you feel about that? Terrified, but willing. That's progress. What about your parents? They're coming to Seattle next month. Mom wants to take you to lunch. Just you two. That's terrifying. She likes you. She just wants to make sure you're not going to break my heart. Are you worried I will? Nathan stops me from playing, takes my hands in his. No, because I know you, the real you, not the version you show everyone else. And that person, she's brave enough to show up even when she's scared. That's all I need. I kiss him, soft and slow and full of promise. For the record, I say, that empty frame at the gallery, do you have something planned for it? I was thinking a photo from our first real date, the one where you weren't fake crying and I wasn't fake comforting you. I never fake cried. You kind of did at the rehearsal dinner. Very convincing performance. I shove him playfully. I was genuinely emotional. Sure you were. We're both laughing now. And it hits me, this is what I was afraid of losing. This easiness, this joy, this person who knows my worst moments and loves me anyway. Nathan, yeah, thank you. For what? For seeing me, for waiting, for not giving up when I was too scared to jump. He pulls me close. You jumped eventually. That's what matters. I love you. I know. I raise an eyebrow. Did you just Han Solo me? Absolutely. You're ridiculous. You love it. I really do. 6 months after that, we're back on Whidbey Island, not for a wedding this time, just because Nathan wanted to photograph the coastline for a new project. Because I wanted to see where we started. We're staying in the same cottage, same queen bed, but this time there's no pull-out couch, no pretending, no agreement, just us. Come here, Nathan says from the porch. I join him. He set up his camera on a tripod pointed at the two of us. What are you doing? Taking the photo. Well, I'm going for the front now. Why not a mess? I'm not ready. My hair is a mess. I'm wearing old jeans. Emma, he turns to face me. You're perfect. And I want to remember this moment. Right here, right now, the two of us back where it started, finally honest about what this is. I look at him, at this man who photographs pain and beauty, who carries ghosts but makes room for the living, who saw me crying in a hallway and decided I was worth knowing. Okay, I say. He sets the timer, comes to stand beside me. And when the camera clicks, we're not posing. We're not performing. We're just us. Laughing, happy, real. Later, Nathan will print that photo. We'll frame it. We'll hang it in the gallery space that's been empty for months. And underneath, he'll add a new caption. This is how it ends and how it begins. 1 year after the agreement. I'm standing in Nathan's apartment, our apartment now, since I officially moved in last month. My piano is here now, the one I sold after David left. Nathan tracked it down, bought it back, and had it delivered as a surprise. You need it, he said when I cried, not because of what it used to mean, but because of what it could mean now. Today I'm playing for real, not just scales or simple pieces, but something I've been working on, something new. Nathan is across the room sorting through prints for his next exhibition. This one is called After. About what comes after loss, after pain, after choosing to try again. There are photos of me in it, but also his parents, my family, Sophie and James, strangers he's met, a whole collection of people learning to live after grief. I need your opinion on something, he says. I stop playing. Yeah. He holds up 2 photos, both of me. One from our fake dating week, me at the wedding smiling but guarded. One from last month, me in our kitchen dancing while cooking, completely unself-conscious. Which one, he asks. For what? For the cover of the exhibition catalog. I study them both. The second one. Why? Because the first one is me trying to be okay. The second one is me actually being okay. There's a difference. Nathan sets down the first photo, studies the second. That's what I thought too. He crosses to the piano, sits beside me on the bench. I have something for you, he says. It's not my birthday. I know, but I saw this and thought of you. He pulls out a small box. Inside is a silver necklace with a small pendant, a tiny piano key. Nathan, it's not a ring, he says quickly. I know we're not there yet, but I wanted you to have something. To remember that you found your way back to this, to music, to yourself. I'm crying as he fastens it around my neck. I love you, I say. I love you too. Even though I'm a mess, especially because you're a mess. You're my favorite mess. I kiss him, and then I play. I play everything I've been too afraid to feel for 2 years. The sadness, the anger, the hope, the love. And Nathan sits beside me listening. Not photographing, not documenting, just being present, just being here. With me. For real this time. For always. Epilogue, 2 years later, the gallery opening is packed. Nathan's latest exhibition, Agreements, is his most personal work yet. A collection of photographs documenting our relationship from the very beginning. The real beginning, not the fake one. There's the photo of me crying in the hallway, the one he almost deleted, the one that started everything. There's photos from the wedding, from our fights, from our reconciliations. There's the photo of me at the piano taken this morning when I didn't know he was watching. And in the center of the gallery, in a large frame, is the photo from Whidbey Island. Us on the porch of that cottage. Laughing, happy, real. But the title card is different now. It reads, The Agreement, a Love Story, in which two broken people pretend to be whole and accidentally become it. What do you think? Nathan asks, appearing beside me with 2 glasses of wine. I think you're arguing to make me cry in public again. That's kind of my specialty. I lean into him. Around us, people are admiring the work, talking about the vulnerability, the honesty, the way he's captured not just moments, but the space between moments, the healing that happens when you're not looking. Sophie and James are here. My parents, Nathan's parents, all of them together celebrating this thing we built from lies and turned into truth. There's one more piece, Nathan says. I was waiting for you to get here before I unveiled it. Oh, Nathan, what did you do? He leads me to the back of the gallery. There's a curtain covering one wall. He pulls it back, and there in a simple frame is a photograph I've never seen before. It's us, on the ferry, from that first day. We're holding hands our first practice run at physical affection. But the way he's captured it, you can see everything, the uncertainty, the hope, the beginning of something neither of us expected. Below it, a new caption, The Agreement Day 1. Neither of them knew they were already in love, but the camera did. I turned to Nathan. Were we already in love? I don't know, maybe not love, but something. Something that was always going to become love if we were brave enough to let it. And we were. And we are. He sets down his wine glass, gets down on one knee. The gallery goes silent. Emma Chen, he says, pulling out a small box. We started this relationship with a contract, rules and boundaries and exit strategies. And I think it's time we made a new agreement. I'm crying. Of course I'm crying. An agreement to keep choosing each other, to keep being honest, to keep showing up even when it's scary, to keep taking pictures and playing piano and dancing in the kitchen and being beautifully, messily human together. He opens the box. So what do you say? Will you marry me for real this time? I don't even look at the ring. Yes, I say. Yes, yes, yes. He stands, slides the ring onto my finger and kisses me while the entire gallery applauds. And I think about that night a year ago when I stood outside his door with a handwritten contract and a desperate plan. I thought I was asking for a performance. I thought I was playing it safe. But really I was taking the biggest risk of my life. I was giving myself permission to be seen. And he saw me, all of me, the scared parts and the brave parts and everything in between. And he loved me anyway. We break apart and Nathan is grinning. So he says, should we write up another contract, wedding planning terms and conditions? Absolutely not. Good, because I'm really bad at following rules anyway. I noticed. You love it. I really do. We stand there surrounded by photographs of our story, our real story, the one we didn't plan, the one we couldn't have predicted, the one that started with a lie and became the truest thing either of us has ever known. I love you, Emma. I love you too, Nathan. No takebacks this time. No takebacks. No exit strategy. No exit strategy. Just us. Just us. Forever. And that's an agreement we both intend to keep.